Happening now, how important is a second ambulance to Jamestown? Continuing coverage today on efforts to improve our local EMS response. And we break down the surge in violence at one Western New York prison. Plus, local students, they get a unique hands-on experience thanks to a donation by a Jamestown manufacturer.
Live and on demand, this is WNY News Now.
And thanks for joining us for WNY News Now. I'm Justin Gould. Those stories and more are coming up, but first, inmate violence towards correctional officers at a state prison facility here in Western New York is surging. Over a half a dozen corrections officers were injured in various incidences at the Collins Correctional Facility over the past few months. According to the New York State Correctional Officers and Police Benevolent Association, the most serious attack happened back on April 6th. During the incident, an out-of-control inmate kicked correction officers multiple times in the stomach and groin area before suffering an apparent drug overdose. The inmate then passed out before he was revived with Narcan, only before coughing and spitting up blood. A sergeant and 5 others sustained injuries during the attack. They were treated for bite marks, abrasions, and hip and groin injuries. A Cattaraugus County man accused of criminal sexual abuse has been arrested. Andrew Spitali was taken into custody on a warrant for 3 counts of assault, sexual abuse, and sexual misconduct on Monday by deputies with the Cattaraugus County Sheriff's Office. The 18-year-old Ashford resident was located at his Dutch Hill Road address. He allegedly failed to comply with law enforcement's commands and actively resisted arrest, deputies say. Spitali has since been remanded to the Cattaraugus County Jail on $2,500 bail. And City of Dunkirk police have released more information about a high-speed stolen vehicle pursuit last week in northern Chautauqua County. It happened last Thursday at about 1:30 in the morning when officers attempted to stop a vehicle for driving without headlights in the area of East 7th Street and Columbus Avenue. The suspects, police report, immediately fled, eventually leaving the city south on Route 60 before taking that traffic circle in Fredonia straight back into the city. At one point during this chase, police say that the suspects intentionally rammed a patrol car, causing extensive damage. After a 14-minute pursuit came to an abrupt stop near the corner of McKinley Avenue and West 5th Street there in Dunkirk, the 3 occupants fled on foot. The vehicle's driver, identified as 19-year-old Kenneth Craig of West Seneca, faces several charges, including some felonies. The 2 passengers, an 18-year-old and 21-year-old of Buffalo, were also arrested. Now, the vehicle was reported stolen earlier in the month by the City of Buffalo Police Department. The trio now have all been issued appearance tickets and released as part of New York State's bail reform law. Well, how important is purchasing a second ambulance here in Jamestown? With EMS calls at an all-time high, it seems that the city's lone ambulance is not enough. Bronson Rasmussen joins us from the newsroom with a part 2 of his report highlighting local investments in first responders. And today, Bronson, it seems like all eyes now are on emergency medical care.
That's right, Justin. Over 80% of service calls to the Jamestown Fire Department are EMS related. With that number going up year by year, first responders have to rely on mutual aid services, with over 500 expected for this year.
I think it's pretty clear that our city fire department and our residents need to have these firefighters staffed and keep the city solvent and safe and give the residents something for their tax dollars.
A multi-million-dollar FEMA grant would allow the municipality to hire several new firefighters. However, as we reported Tuesday, unforeseen costs have likely put the positions on hold.
If these 8 positions are declined and they're not hired, and we have those 4 ARPA positions in there, you're saying that an ambulance can still be deployed. This is what you just said, correct?
I did.
What about the ladder truck? Can the ladder truck be deployed at the same time that they're out in a rescue call if these 8 positions are not hired?
No, it cannot.
Okay.
The fire chief goes on to say that 4 additional roles funded by the American Rescue Plan Act and hired in July of 2022 could staff the vehicle. It is believed the new ambulance would bring in $400,000 of revenue annually. Over the decades, private companies like All-Star EMS have helped fill the gaps. However, in recent years, fewer EMTs are available.
You know, in a perfect world, if we had a couple of other competing companies to come to Jamestown that were able to do that, but we don't have that.
Yeah.
And we didn't find that. And so then it falls basically on our laps because we have an obligation to deal with public safety.
To extend the natural life of the current ambulance, if a second is purchased, Ambulance 1 could primarily handle medical transport to lessen wear and tear. Now, council members are likely to review the number and ask further questions prior to a vote on both the new hires and ambulance purchase ahead of their voting session on Monday, April 24th. Now, it is unclear if the resolution will be tabled prior to that vote. Reporting live in the newsroom, Bronson Rasmussen, WNY News Now.
All right, Bronson, thank you. I know we'll keep on it for our viewers, too, as we get updates following that voting session. Well, over a dozen high school students here in Chautauqua County, they're gaining additional hands-on experience thanks to a Jamestown manufacturer. 18 high school seniors enrolled at the Erie Chautauqua Cattaraugus BOCES in Fredonia studying welding took on a final project this spring, creating a grill from scratch thanks to materials donated by Jamestown Advanced Products. Now, the collaboration between the company and these students comes at a critical time for employers like Jamestown Advanced that are challenged to find qualified tradespeople to fill their open positions. Now, according to the American Welding Society, which declared April as National Welding Month, there will be 360,000 open welding positions across our country by 2027. While enrolled in the program, students have the opportunity to partake in internships with area welding businesses, manufacturers, and custom vehicle companies. Now, after graduating, they have the skills and the resume to even seek apprenticeships or employment with local manufacturers like the folks at Jamestown Advanced. Certainly great to see those kids getting some hands-on time and, heck, building a grill, which we're definitely going to need as the summer season continues. Let's now switch gears and get a first check of our weather forecast today. That's where we find Chief Weather Forecaster Andrew Stevenson, who has more. Hello, Andrew.
Let's take a look at the weather headlines. Here's what you need to know for the next few days. Today, the skies will clear throughout the rest of the afternoon after we had some clouds this morning. Summer-like temperatures will return by tomorrow and Friday. After those summer-like temperatures we had last week, we'll have them briefly return for tomorrow and Friday. And then the rain chances return Friday night into Saturday, and then once again return cooler by Sunday and into early next week. So yeah, like we had that extended period of warm weather last week, now we're on a roller coaster. As you'll see it here. Temperatures today will only make it up into the low 50s. We'll go mid-70s tomorrow, upper 70s close to 80 on Saturday, back down to near 70 on Saturday, and then that cold front will move through Saturday night, and we're back down into the 40s for Sunday and into next week. Yesterday, we only made it to a high of 35 degrees yesterday. It was a chilly day yesterday. The record high for today was 87 set back in 2002, and a record low of 20 degrees set back in 1926. So here's the forecast for the rest of the afternoon out there. Those clouds will continue to scatter out through the rest of the afternoon. We should go partly to mostly sunny skies through the rest of the afternoon and into the evening hours. It will be a bit warmer today, especially inland, with temperatures making it into the lower 50s and a west wind of 10 to 13 miles per hour. I'll have a look at that full forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Andrew, we'll look forward to seeing that. Thank you very much. As WNY News Now continues, we're hearing from a Buffalo Bill headed back to the field after suffering a cardiac arrest earlier this year. And later, the latest efforts to control a new animal tranquilizer drug being misused across our region. Stay with us. WNY News Now. We'll be right back.
With coverage that matters. This is WNY News Now.
I'm a survivor.
I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor.
Testicular cancer is the leading form of cancer in men aged 15 to 35.
1 in 250 men will be diagnosed with testicular cancer.
but 98% will survive if detected early.
As a survivor, I believe early detection is the key. Learn how to do a testicular self-exam and other important facts about testicular cancer at oneball4tc.com.
On this episode of Lead and Lures, pro staffer and lethal lady Caitlin Armstrong takes out her big Ohio buck. Months of hard work, dedication, and scouting have led her to this moment. You're not going to want to miss this episode of Lead and Lures on channel 716 Roku TV. And if you want to see more of Caitlin Armstrong, follow her on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. At Caitlin Armstrong.
Land has been quite the experience.
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvan Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer, plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
Well, continuing coverage out of Warren County, Pennsylvania, where the school board is trying to make some changes. School bus drivers, they're traveling more than 10,000 miles a day, and a lack of teachers is making things difficult too, leaving the Board of Education to have to evaluate the future of some of the schools in the county. WNY News Now's Philip Ward has more.
The Warren County School Board is getting closer to making a final decision on their master facilities plan. The board is down to 6 options. One includes moving some of the students from the 9 through 12 population from Warren and putting them in schools like Eisenhower, Youngsville, or Sheffield. That option, according to a letter from the Warren City Council, is unacceptable.
The proposal to reconfigure the central attendance area would have a substantial negative impact on students within the city of Warren.
All 7 members of council signing the letter, and John Wortman, council vice president, says they are prioritizing the school's best interests.
We're concerned that with this proposal to realign the central attendance area, that the quality school that is Warren Area High School, which has been a top-notch school for decades, we believe is under a true threat.
So their parents can take them to that practice.
For Dylan Hardwick, a student athlete and junior at Sheffield Middle High School, only one option works for him.
Option 5 is basically saying don't change anything, no school changes.
As a student athlete going into my senior year, it terrifies me. It honestly does. It scares me a lot that we're going to get shut down because I just want to keep playing football and going to school with the same friends I've grown up with.
Philip Ward, WNY News Now.
Buffalo Bills safety Damar Hamlin could be back playing on the field pretty soon. On Tuesday, the team's manager says Hamlin has been cleared to resume football activities. On January 2nd, the 25-year-old went into cardiac arrest after making a tackle in a game against the Cincinnati Bengals. Doctors and trainers administered CPR and used a defibrillator on the field to resuscitate Hamlin before he was taken out of the stadium in an ambulance. The Bills says 3 separate specialists have all agreed that Hamlin can resume full activities. Now Tuesday, Hamlin spoke about his journey back to the football field.
Well, we're just working out. We're not playing football technically yet, so I'm day to day with it, I'm just taking it one day at a time. That's where I'm at in this process. Anytime I try to think too forward, it gets cloudy. So I'm riding a roller coaster of emotions. I'm taking it one day at a time, and I'm trusting God. I'm walking by faith.
Now, he has been participating in voluntary off-season workouts this week. Bills head coach Sean McDermott says the team is happy to have Hamlin back. I'm sure many fans are too. Well, on Tuesday, the New York State Senate voted on Governor Kathy Hochul's nomination for Chief Judge of the Court of Appeals, Ron Wilson. Our New York Capital correspondent Elise Klein is hearing from lawmakers and gives us an update on where the votes stand.
following the Senate Judiciary Committee's decision to advance Hochul's Chief Judge nomination, Rowan Wilson, for the Court of Appeals. Today, the Senate plans to vote on the floor. In the nominee's 3-hour confirmation hearing yesterday, some lawmakers raised issue with his prosecution history. In March, the Court of Appeals, in which Wilson served as an associate judge, overturned a rape conviction for a defendant because of procedural delays. Some Republican lawmakers are concerned about the level of support from Democratic lawmakers across the aisle.
They're putting in, as the top of the New York State court system, someone who I think is arguably the most dangerous from a thinking standpoint, from a philosophical standpoint, from a legal standpoint, the most dangerous chief judge that we've seen maybe ever, certainly in a very long time.
During questioning, Wilson responds the decision was important to uphold New York's constitutional rights to a speedy trial, which guarantees the public the right to a trial without unnecessary delay.
The problem is that to vindicate those rights for all of us, you have to do damage in an individual case.
Some Democratic lawmakers say it was a difficult case and agree with Wilson's reasoning behind the overturned decision.
I think Judge Wilson was prepared to take every question from Democrats and Republicans alike about that case, which was troubling to the extent that the district attorney waited years to pursue justice.
In Albany, Elise Klein, WNY News Now.
Tuesday in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania Governor John Shapiro announced his administration's latest efforts to fight xylazine, also known as tranq. The drug slows one's breathing and heart rate, and when cut with illicit opioids like fentanyl, it can stop an individual's heart and lungs entirely. Shapiro is directing his administration to temporarily add xylazine to a list of Schedule III drugs, as well as initiate a class of synthetic opioids, the list to the Schedule I narcotic sheet. Shapiro believes scheduling these drugs makes it harder for them to be obtained illegally, and said it's part of a multidisciplinary approach in addressing substance abuse.
We need to bring enforcement, prevention, and treatment together in order to tackle this crisis. Drug addiction is a disease, not a crime, and we need to treat it that way.
Now, when asked if he supports safe injection sites in Philadelphia or any other part of Pennsylvania, Shapiro made it clear he does not support the sites. Well, coming up next, the latest on a deadly parking garage collapse in New York. And later, we check in with local gardening experts on how to save your plants this time of year from these crazy up and down temperatures that we've been seeing. But first, we'll return with Andrew's full look at our forecast as he lays out what's next for these temperatures and the sunshine that might be peeking through today.
With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
Have you ever wanted to live out your dreams? Hunt, fish, and all corners chance. Follow Primitive Patriot Outdoors as we live out our dreams and show you how to live out yours through outdoor adventures. From Western New York to Africa to all corners of the earth, follow us on this adventure. It's an experience you've never seen before. Lead and Lures, Roku TV, channel 716.
Slow down.
Slow down and move over.
Move over.
When you see signs,
Lights. Vests.
please give us some room.
Slow down. Slow down and move over.
When you need help,
It's our job
To help you.
to save you.
despite the danger.
This danger.
This danger is real. Do your part.
Please
Slow down. Slow down. And move over.
move over.
There's an old saying, there's no news in the newsroom. Well, it's true. The time I spend at the anchor desk is just part of my day. Most of our time is spent gathering stories in the community, stories that matter to you. We can't do it alone. and we need your help. When you see breaking news or have a news tip we should know about, drop us a line on Facebook today, email our news desk, or call our newsroom at 488-7226 so we can bring those stories straight back to you.
Fast, accurate, and every day. First Defense Weather.
Welcome back to WNY News Now. While Jackson kind of let everyone know about this last week, I'll give you another reminder. The National Weather Service in Buffalo has another storm spotter training coming up tomorrow night at 7:00 p.m. It is free to attend. You just have to register online at weather.gov/Buffalo/Skywarn. Now, radar is a great tool. It lets us know what's happening up in the clouds and in the atmosphere, but we need storm spotters to let us know what's happening on the ground in case there's a tornado or something happening on the ground, and then they can report that to the National Weather Service, so that helps. So you can become a storm spotter, and we will have some more training sessions coming up later in the spring and summer, and some of them will be in person, and we'll be sure to let you know when those come up. Well, on Monday we made it to 8 o'clock sunsets, and we will continue to gain daylight, as tonight the sunset will set at 8:02 p.m. and we'll continue to gain a few minutes over the next few days, and by this time next week we'll gain a whole 10 minutes, and we'll continue to gain daylight as we head in through the rest of the spring and the summer and up until the summer solstice on June 21st. Let's take a look at the rest of the afternoon. Through the rest of the afternoon out there, beautiful out there. Clouds will clear out. We'll go partly to mostly sunny skies. As we head into night, a weak warm front will move north through the region, might touch off a couple of rain showers overnight. Otherwise, the night will be mainly dry with mostly cloudy skies. We start tomorrow off and maybe a couple clouds, but after that we should go again partly to mostly sunny skies through the rest of the afternoon tomorrow, and temperatures will be making it up into the 70s, close to 80. So it will be a beautiful day tomorrow. We get the warmer temperatures for tomorrow and Friday. Then a cold front moves through, and the NOAA 8 to 14 day temperature outlook heading into the end of April and into the beginning of May favors below average temperatures. It will always be below average during this period. There will be some warm days mixed in, as you will see, like tomorrow and Friday, but on average temperatures will be below average heading into the end of the month and beginning of April. And now here's the extended forecast powered by Ultimate Satellite Solutions. Again, temperatures tomorrow in the mid-70s. On Friday, we'll go mid-70s, upper 80s, maybe a couple of isolated thunderstorms late in the afternoon and in the evening. And as we head into the weekend, there will be a low pressure system that will be off to our west that's going to slowly push a cold front through the region on Saturday. So there will be some rain showers in the region on Saturday. And behind that cold front, you see what happens to the temperatures. Temperatures are back down into the 40s for Sunday and Monday, and we'll continue with a couple of showers in the forecast each day before the sunshine returns in full heading into next Tuesday.
All right, Andrew, thank you. Let's get some headlines from around the nation in a terrifying scene Tuesday in New York City. A parking garage you see there collapsing in Lower Manhattan. The collapse killed at least one person and injured a handful of others. NYPD and firefighters helped search for the victims, but first responders left the building when engineers determined the garage was unstable. Police and firefighters then used a robot and a drone to search through the debris. They say it appears everybody has been accounted for. The NYC Department of Buildings says that the parking garage had 6 open violations, 3 of which classified as hazardous. An investigation continues. The debt ceiling drama in Washington, D.C. gets heating up, even though the deadline to make a deal is looming. The lines of communication between the White House and House Republicans appear to be frayed. John Lawrence has more.
House Speaker Kevin McCarthy focused on trimming the bottom line.
We're very concerned about what the president and the Democrats have done by spending so much money creating inflation for the last 24 months.
McCarthy says he has enough support to get the GOP's debt limit bill passed along party lines. The proposal, which hasn't been released or finalized, includes getting back unspent COVID-19 funds, 10-year caps on spending, prohibiting President Joe Biden's student loan forgiveness, and enacting a GOP energy bill.
I think there are a number of really critical details that we've still got to work out before making a final decision on a vote. But it's been a very productive discussion and a lot of good ideas.
The Biden White House isn't impressed with the House Republicans' goals.
They're even talking about adding $3 trillion to our debt in wasteful tax giveaways to the richest Americans and big corporations.
The president spoke with Democratic leaders Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries Tuesday to discuss the Republican plan, which Biden blasted, saying in a statement the GOP should, quote, pass a clean bill like they did 3 times in the previous administration.
One thing that we know that is clear is that this President Biden's budget, shows his priority is delivering for hardworking Americans.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
John, thank you. Pennsylvania's freshman Senator John Fetterman, he's back at the Capitol.
Lawmakers should not be able to profit off of the same companies that they are regulating. It's just that simple.
That's the senator Tuesday, speaking at his first major press conference since returning to the Senate. He joined other members, including legislation that bans members of Congress, their spouses, dependent minors from owning or trading stocks, commodities, or futures. Members on both sides of the aisle wished Fetterman a speedy recovery. Senator Chuck Schumer took to the floor, welcoming the Pennsylvania senator back.
We're all glad he got the support he needed, and he's sending an important message to millions of Americans that asking for and getting help works.
Now, the Senate has a narrow 51-49 majority in the chamber. Well, with that slim majority, absentees can hold up getting legislation in various nominations through for votes. Well, coming up next, with the up and down temperatures this week, we're checking in with a local gardening expert on what to do about your plant projects, which might already be underway.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
Right here, baby. Look. Uma.
Something more than a birthday is happening here. Once you can see it, you can help. The sooner you recognize the signs of autism, the sooner you can make a lifetime of difference for your child. Start by answering a few simple questions at screenforautism.org.
On this episode of Lead and Lures, pro staffer and lethal lady Caitlin Armstrong takes out her big Ohio buck. Months of hard work, dedication, and scouting have led her to this moment. You're not going to want to miss this episode of Lead and Lures on Channel 716 Roku TV. And if you want to see more of Caitlin Armstrong, follow her on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram at Caitlin Armstrong.
Land has been quite the experience.
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
When enjoying last week's warm weather, many might have gone out and started gardening. But yesterday, the snow returned once again. So what does that mean for those plants that maybe have already started to bloom? WNY News Now's Megan Selensky explains.
There are several tricks to gardening in fluctuating weather. But first, it's important to make sure you are growing plants that will survive this climate.
Plants that are hardy to our climate zone here, which is zone 6. All plants should have a tag on them that says that somewhere on there. It's always a good idea to check the tag because not all plants that are sold here are hardy here.
Shelly Kupfer of Gerlach's Gardening Services tells us that during thunderstorms or any severe spring weather, you should bring inside those potted or hanging plants. She also recommends that you cover those other plants to protect against the cold and frost. Kupfer recommends that the best way to make sure your plants survive this spring is to find an experienced gardener to help.
Gardening's a wonderful hobby, an exciting hobby, I think, and if you want to learn a lot, find somebody who is also excited about gardening to learn from.
Megan Selensky, WNY News Now.
Thank you very much for that, Megan. Certainly good tips, and I'm hoping to check out those cherry blossoms in Buffalo, but hopefully they hang tight. Well, that's going to do it for us today. The news continues 24/7 at WNYNewsNow.com. We'll leave you with this live look from our Chautauqua Lake weather camera. Some sunshine out there today. If you missed anything we talked about, don't worry. It's available at WNYNewsNow.com and channel 716 on Roku. Have a great day.